Well, well, well.
Well.
Looks like our Goral Queen is back to mukbangs, which I thought she was avoiding. Well, today we have a trip to Raising Cane's for some delicious, fresh, well-salted, crumbly chicken fingers, fries, slaw, some nicely bready bread, and a mega pint of lemonade. But things seem a bit stormy in our queendom.
Well.
Seriously, it's giving me some creepy vibes, and I've got red flags flying up all over the place. Let's roll my whale song and jump on in. Everything on this video is my opinion or personal life experience. Nothing I say is meant to be medical, legal, or life advice for anyone, anywhere, ever. Clips I use are protected by fair use, so kindly grab a cocktail, a mocktail, or a handful of grapes, and let's do whatever it is we're doing. All right, friendos. Today we've got a mukbang from Chantal, and I have to say there's something going on, and I'm not sure it's anything good. She seems subdued and not in an okay way, and with her recent confession that she's now on over-the-counter antidepressants, I'm a little more worried. If Salah's able to just waltz in and out of a pharmacy with a medication that's usually prescribed under the supervision of a doctor, she won't have any guidance or check-ins that make sure she's actually doing okay. It doesn't matter if she's been on it before, bodies and conditions change, and even if this med was her holy grail before, it might not be appropriate now. This most recent time that I was prescribed anxiety and antidepressant meds, it's been about 5 years. They initially started me on a medication that I had used in my 20s and had a lot of success on. And so when they prescribed it to me now in my 40s, it was horrible. It did not work like it did before. It left me feeling blank, empty, numb. I mean, sure, I didn't feel depressed anymore because I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel happiness. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel fear. I felt nothing. I looked at my pets. I felt nothing. I looked at my family. I did not feel love. I felt nothing. Luckily, I was able to speak to my doctor and we tried a different medication, and my God, what a difference. So, in the span of a decade, something changed in my situation, in my body chemistry, something. But it changed to the point that what was once a life saving medication was basically deadly to me. If I'd stayed on that, I would have made myself not be here by now. What about any interactions that it might have with other conditions? Anyway, all of this is to say that allegedly Chantal is taking a prescription level med without a prescription, and that's not safe for anybody involved, especially her. Now to Cane's we go. Turns out our chaos queen is tired of dieting. I mean, I get it, man. I do. I try to avoid real sugar as much as possible, but I did indeed eat about 3 cookies from Trader Joe's this weekend. Sometimes you need a break. And while I may never be as skinny and pretty and intelligent as Foodie Beauty is, I don't think labeling something as forbidden is really sustainable for most people. I mean, I'm never going to be able to say no, no more cake. Not ever. But Chantal, seriously, I hope you find some consolation in the fact that your walk on the beach will do literally nothing to put a dent in that calorie feast. A quick Google shows me that you consumed about 1,500 calories in that single meal. That's not including the sauce and anything that you ate off of Salah's plate. That means that you would need to walk about 20,000 steps to burn that off. That's 10 miles, and it would take somebody walking at 4 miles an hour about 2.5 hours to complete. We know you're not walking for 2.5 hours. Y'all may not be aware, but I've been walking like Foodie Beauty live most mornings from my living room treadmill for about 20 minutes a day. I go 2 miles an hour, and in that time I get 6/10 of a mile done. I'm sweaty, gross, and out of breath by the time I'm done. At least I was earlier this week. I wasn't this morning, and I don't know why. But all that effort means that I can then, after 20 minutes of walking 2 miles an hour and walking 6/10 of a mile, then that means that I can calorically afford about 20 grams of rice. Cooked rice. 20 grams. How much is 20 grams of cooked rice? That's about 1.25 tablespoons full. So, like a single beauty bite of that cooked rice that she eats on the daily. Assuming that she's actually still walking on the treadmill at her gym 5 times a week, that means she's gained enough of a calorie deficit to have 5 bites of cooked rice this week. I don't know. Kind of think the Cane's is an overkill. Now, do you hear the joy in her voice when Salah gets to the table with their food? She's very subdued, And I'm not sure if it's the fact that she's watching her life slip away, the novelty of having a man is wearing off, and she's seeing what her hoped for future looks like. Or maybe it's the meds she's on without a doctor's supervision. But there is true joy in her voice when she says mashallah when he gets back with the food. Listen for it.
Wow, mashallah, mashallah.
I'll play it again. I mean, do you hear that? She's so happy. She has not been that happy this entire time she's been there. Kuwait Part 2, she's never been this happy. It's also clear that their intention is to appeal to her feeder followers. The placement of her lapel mic is obviously there with the hope of picking up her mouth noises. Unfortunately, she hasn't put in the effort to play with her mic, to figure it out, and realize there's no way it's actually going to lead to usable sound due to the background noise here. As it goes on, you can see that Foodie is getting increasingly uncomfortable eating while fat in public. I'm sure it's harder to do so in Kuwait, where her size and westernness mark her as an unmistakable novelty. When she mentions how hard it is to be fat and complains that there's a kid staring at her, she lets us in to just how miserable she is being forced to do this in public. I don't think she's happy. I don't think that Salah actually treats her well. I don't think he's actively abusing her in a physical sense, but I do think that there is a power dynamic here, mostly of Chantal's old doing. He is the man, the ever-coveted treasure Foodie has been lusting after her entire life. He's claimed her publicly. I feel like he could get away with anything, and if he just tells her he loves her, if he agrees to a video like their love documentary, she'll forgive him. Fun fact, if you're the type of person to be a scammer, romance or otherwise, your sense of shame has to be low to non-existent. Remember, she doesn't speak Arabic, and she doesn't know this man she's now dependent on. He could easily be fronting off to his friends that he's using her for her money. We don't know this man either. People joke that he's a robot, that he's dumb, but maybe he's smarter than we're giving him credit for. I mean, he's obviously got enough hustle to get his furniture spray into stores, making money that way. He got her and access to her bank. I'm getting the feeling that Salah is a bit ambitious. He has the opportunity to access a pre-monetized channel and audience. And do you see how he's now pushing for content? She is not this regular. It feels like he's keeping her on a leash, almost like a financial dominance pay pig, which, I mean, if the shoe fits. Daddy needs a better gaming rig. Time for the live streams to come back, sweetie. She wasn't comfortable eating in public. She's not happy merely existing in Salah's orbit anymore. The stresses are adding up, and it's not even getting hot by Kuwaiti standards yet. Does anyone want to get in on this with me? I'm willing to bet on the side of her having a happily ever. You know why? So that's honestly all I have to say about this morbid little mukbang. I'm already working on my next video about Foodie Beauty, so stay tuned. If you watched this far, drop me a little crab emoji in my comments and let me know what your super depressing cheat meal would be. If you watched this far, drop me a crab emoji in my comments and let me know what your super depressing cheat meal would be. Mine would be leftover, fresh from the fridge, unheated, boxed mac and cheese. I honestly can't think of a more depressing, quote-unquote, cheat meal. If you didn't hate this, do me a favor and like, maybe subscribe, and if you did hate it, I don't care.